7 things that you need to look out for when you're commissioning a new logo designer. Hey folks, working with a logo designer that's the perfect fit for you is half the battle in creating a great brand identity. The journey of getting your business up and running can be quite a stressful one. I know, I've been there myself. What I'd like to do is I'd like to give you 7 useful tips to look out for when you're commissioning a new designer. These 7 things will make the journey of creating your new logo much simpler and a lot less stressful for you. So step 1 is to pick a designer whose logo design work is quite varied. You may have seen a logo designer and you love the style that they have. But do they apply that style to every single logo that they create? If they do, that may not be the right designer for you because that style may not be appropriate for your business or the audience that you're trying to attract. It's much better to look for a logo designer who has a variance in the style of logos that they create. So when you're doing some research and you're Googling for logo designers, make sure to check out their portfolio. Look to see if they have different styles for logos they've created for clients in the past. If they have, there's a much better chance that that designer does quite a lot of research when they're doing the logo process. By doing research, that means they're looking at the industry, your audience, and also yourself to create a logo which is the perfect fit. Someone that has a one style way of designing won't really have that flexibility to create the perfect logo for you. The next thing to do is to make sure that the designer you're going to work with will be creating your logo as a vector file. Not to get too technical, but basically with a vector file format, you can make your logo tiny or huge and it won't lose any quality at all. There are still logo designers out there who create logos in a bitmap format, which is made up from pixels, and you will have problems when you want to enlarge your logo. You may have had a photograph in the past and increased the size of it and it's gone all blurry. The same will happen to your logo if it's created as a bitmap. So make sure when you're speaking to a designer that you're thinking of working with that they will provide your logo in a vector file format. Now your logo should also work in one color. I know it's the modern age and we've got computers and we've got in-house printers and all of that kind of stuff. But there are times where you will be limited to just one color in your logo. Things like promotional merchandise, pens, key rings, quite often they will be one color printing. Now, if your logo relies on fancy gradients or shadowing to make it clear what the logo is, and then you convert that to one color, you may end up with just a blob. People can't see what the shape's meant to be. It will be indistinct and not clear. So make sure that you have a designer that's going to focus on the shape and make sure that your logo can be recreated in one color without any loss of impact. I, for example, when I'm creating logo concepts, will only work in black to begin with. That way I and the client can look and study the shape of the logo to make sure that's correct, and then I introduce color. Now the chances are your logo is going to include some text, which means you're going to require a font. There are designers out there who will use licensed fonts, which you can get access to quite easily on the net, but won't pay for a license or inform the client that they've used a licensed font. If that's the case, there is a chance that further down the line, you could be sued for using an unlicensed font in your logo or marketing. So please check with your designer whether they use only free fonts or free fonts and paid fonts, and that they will inform you when they're creating your logo which one they've used so that you can buy the license. Your logo needs to be adaptable. It's all well and good having a horizontal logo, but what happens when you need to use it, say for example, on Facebook as your profile picture which is a square. I've seen some terrible approaches to this where the person who has the logo has taken their horizontal logo and put it into a square and chopped off the edges so you don't even see the whole logo, or they've squashed it to fit in the box. That just looks terrible, and that's really not what you want to do. When you're hiring your logo designer, ask them if they will be providing your logo in different layouts. So you may want a stacked layout for square spaces and a horizontal layout for rectangular spaces on pages and websites. Most logo designers will provide your logo in different layouts, but not all will. So please make sure when you're hiring your logo designer that you check that they will be providing you some flexibility with your logo by providing these different layouts. There will be occasions in the future when you've got your completed logo that you'll need to pass it on to another designer or a company to use your logo in an advert or in a magazine. What you should have and be provided by your chosen logo designer is a set of guidelines. Now, these can be called logo style guides or brand guidelines, but essentially they're the same thing. What they do is they will state the minimum size that your logo should be, the fonts that are used, colors which are in your logo, and it will also say, don't squash the logo, don't substitute fonts, don't use different colors than the ones that are stated in the guidelines. So as you can see, the guidelines are quite an important thing. It means that people don't mess around with that logo that you've invested time and money into just to suit their own purpose. You need to make sure that your logo always appears as it should. Consistency is key in branding, and you don't want anyone messing around and changing it willy-nilly just to suit themselves. So please make sure that your chosen logo designer will be giving you logo guidelines at the end of the design process. One of the best ways to find out if a logo designer is right for you is to ask if they have a logo design process. Some logo designers just basically will have a meeting with you and start designing the logo straight away. But professional logo designers will have a longer process. They will want to research your industry, research your customer base, what is it they're looking for. Before you take on a designer, ask them about this process. Do they have one? What is it? Can they run you through it? By finding out about the processes which the designer uses, you'll be put at ease to know that they do quite a lot of research into your industry, into your customer base. All of that knowledge then goes into the design part, the concept of your logo. By having all of this research and information embedded and used as part of the design process, you'll know that the logo you're given at the end is as appropriate as it can be. It's not just going to be something which is designed because it looks nice. Chances are that logo will be the perfect fit for you by the end. So these 7 questions aren't an exhaustive list that you should be asking any potential logo designer. There will be other things which I'm sure will mean more to you, but I would suggest that they are core questions that need to be answered. Don't make a decision to hire a logo designer purely on their portfolio of work. There are other things which go into making a great designer than just the fact that they can do good designs. The design process and the deliverables that you will get at the end are just as important as skill in design. By making sure you ask all the right questions and you get all the right answers, chances of buyer's remorse at the end, very, very slim. If you rush into hiring a logo designer, then you could get bitten quite badly and then have to look out for another designer to restart the process all over again. I hope this video has been useful, especially if you are just about to start a business or you're thinking of a rebrand and looking for a logo designer. Keep these questions in mind. Watch the video again, write them down, and make sure you have them to hand the next time you speak to a logo designer. I'd really appreciate it if you gave the video a like, leave a comment below as well if you found it useful. It's great to hear from you when you've watched my videos. And remember, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and most importantly of all, stay creative. See you next time, folks.